I woke up with my throat cut open. Don't act like I'm the monster. Bleeding is currently streaming on Amazon. It was written, produced, and directed by Andrew Bell, who also plays the character of Dustin. Check out his IMDb page for the full list of his work. And it centers around two cousins named Eric, played by John R. Howley, and Sean, played by Jasper Jones. And they are basically just trying to survive in a world where vampire blood is being used for people to get high, to get high, to get high. It could be typo negative, it could be a summer breeze, makes me feel fine, or it could be AB negative, which will have you feeling fine, I guess. That being said, if you know what that typo negative song is from, please let me know in the comments. So, yes, it's an allegory for addiction, because this vampire blood can, basically be a hot commodity, but unfortunately people just get a little bit wrapped up in it. Whether it's liquefied or the dusted version, it's dust in the wind. All we are is vampire dust in the wind. Okay, enough sub-referencing here. Let's talk about the rest of the movie. So, we have two teens, we have a few other peripheral characters, but basically just focuses on these two cousins who have their own issues that we find out through exposition, sometimes quite a bit of exposition, and also just using our eyes. And it's a good thing we have eyes. Hopefully eyes are working pretty goddamn well, because really the only major strike against this movie is the fact that some of the scenes are really not all that well lit, and I thought it was just me, but no, it seems like numerous other reviewers have basically noted that some of the scenes aren't that well lit. Now, I get it. It's dealing with vampirism. You want to keep things dark. You want to do that. And some of the acting actually really isn't all that bad. Jasper and John doing pretty well. Jasper John also sounds like a Southern Territorial wrestler. From the wilds of Kentucky, Jasper John. He's just blowing on a goddamn, cider jug. It's like never stop in the middle of a hoedown. So anyway, we also have other actors such as Tori Wong, who plays the character of Sarah. We do have Chloe Serene, who plays Eric's mother, Jess. And then we get a few others. I do have to say that Andrew isn't bad as Dustin. He's not on screen as much. This is more him being behind the scenes, but also just kind of making himself detestable as one of the main antagonists, shall we say. And it's well done enough, but I do have some issues. I think the narrative, while simple, is a little bit messy. I think there are parts that work, but I also think that the movie ends up spinning its wheels a little bit too much. Being an indie horror, it obviously had a fairly low budget, but it was well shot. I mean, the movie didn't look cheap. It just felt like it was stretching for time, especially as we got to that third act. And the credits are really, really short. I mean, I think the credits are maybe 90 goddamn seconds, so alright. I mean, that's a way to rush through them, but nevertheless, it is what it is. It is on Amazon if you want to check it out, though, so I'm just going to get into spoilers and talk about a few things that I liked and didn't like. 3, 2, 1, and warning, spoilers. So yes, vampire blood being used as a drug, and this is a warning from the drug administration, basically, to make sure that you don't partake in that. So we open up with a scene where somebody is being killed, and then somebody is tied to a bed, and somebody is, there's blood being basically thrown around. And there is a brother that is no longer there, Marcus, who is Eric's brother, who obviously was, a victim of this particular thing that occurred. And Dustin also is a big-time drug dealer, or a small-time drug dealer, I guess, in this sense. And there's like a video that is shown by somebody that one of the character knows, where I guess you can just shoot vampires and that's it. These are different types of vampires. Eric's mom seemingly is either bedridden because of an illness or bedridden because of her own addiction that she doesn't want to get out of. It's never totally fully explained, but that's okay. And also Hank is a bit of a kind of absolutely full-on dickish dad that is upset that one of his sons is no longer here and that Eric is doing what he's... And Eric has his own addiction issues. Sean shows up, wants to smoke stuff, and then it leads to confrontation where the dad ends up searching Eric and finding a brick of something. It's a brick of dust, vampire blood dust, and he bursts it all around. And well, basically Sean's issue ends up leading to them basically needing to find a couple grand to pay Dustin back. He was moving drugs. Now, that's not the worst thing in the world. It's a little bit of a different spin. I'll give him that much. But he even asked, what were you doing with That Much Blood, which was the original tagline for Klondike Bar. That's why they went with, what would you do for a Klondike Bar? Because I don't think That Much Blood would have sold all that well. And they end up breaking into this house. They find the girl tied to the bed. The girl's named Sarah. Turns out Sarah actually knew Marcus, who, was an addict and had turned and this kind of stuff and whatever. And you can harvest this vampire blood by basically doing, busting their necks open, but then they don't die? I mean, I guess? But, yeah, basically we end up getting, we end up kind of getting where, Eric is, Eric and Sean basically are in a firefight now because one drank a little bit absolutely too much. And yeah, that's not necessarily all that great. Sean ends up, we basically have Sean and Eric basically at war with each other and everything because in trying to basically save one of them, this inevitably leads into an issue where now they still owe, now Dustin is still owed his money, but now that is a meal ticket right there that has been exposed. And Sarah basically makes an offer that she will help, cure if you make sure that you can, if you can get her across the border, basically to find a cure. Because I guess up in Canada, they actually take care of people, including vampires. So there's a guy that ends up dead in this whole thing that, was trapping Sarah there. And that's fine for what it is. If you're going to trap people, they're vampire or not, you probably should kind of get, destroyed. We get a few more flashbacks and stuff going on. Eric reflects on, his brother and all that stuff and everything. It's not really going terribly well because it just keeps descending further and further down. Eric decides he wants to fix this basically because he has fucked this up and he tells Sean, I want to fix this alone. I have done this. I caused this stuff. Addiction runs in my family. I want to take care of this. Now, it's not like Sean is necessarily, innocent in all this, but Eric does have a point. And we see stuff about like how the dad snapped when Marcus was found, basically ODing. And again, good allegory stuff for, drug use. It's just, it's not necessarily doing anything other than just kind of spinning its wheels. Not in a mud field, just kind of spinning in the dirt. So, the mother, at one point, the mother is visited again and kind of like, is freaking out about certain things because she's either coming down or needs to go back, whatever. She's dealing with her own issues. And Dustin also cuts people open and, harvests blood from, various vampire people that are turning either addicts or whatever it is, or people he just finds on the goddamn street. So Sean basically takes basically is trying to do something to help out all this because he wants to help Eric because Eric is family. And basically what ends up happening, because this kind of just jumbles around a bit, like it ends up spinning its wheels a lot in the conclusion. One of them has a gun, and essentially we basically get both of them in this house. Sarah ends up getting loose and ends up attacking them. But Sean is basically not doing all that well because he's kind of turning and doing all this stuff because either she bit him or they drugged Sean. Seemingly, I mean, it's hard to really tell. And Eric ends up stabbing Sarah, but Sarah's whatever, she just runs off. I guess you really can't kill these vampires. You could bleed them out. There's even a thing a little bit earlier where Dustin says once they're bled dry, you can just burn them. I guess. And He calls his mom with Dustin's phone. Dustin comes back to life because Dustin had been bitten by Sarah, and he ends up stabbing him, and then sees that Sean is basically turning, or maybe he can save him. Who knows? It's a vicious cycle that is addiction, which I assume is the movie's point. The thing is there are elements that work here, but the narrative just is kind of, I don't know. It's not. It just doesn't gel. Just doesn't gel enough. The bad lighting is a big reason why. And I don't think it was done for atmosphere, or if it was, I thought it might have just been my device. But nope, other people complained about it too. So, nevertheless, Andrew Bell does fine. He does fine here. Shows himself to be a more than capable filmmaker, and the film gets a C+, gets just above a passing grade, but it's not great. I'm sorry, it's not something that I end up enjoying a bunch. And I wanted to enjoy more than I did, but there's potential here. So, agree, disagree what I said. Like, share, subscribe, Twitter, Letterboxd, Blue Sky handles in the description. I'm John Retland. Until we bleed off again, happy trails to you.